What to blame?
No, we blame ourselves. If someone else blames us, that's a problem.
That's why they blame us. To remind us that we need to blame ourselves.
Exactly.
They're wrong. But
right.
The urging is correct.
Exactly.
The conclusion is wrong.
All right. Chumash and Rashi. Parshas Lech Lecha. We're living with Avraham Avinu. We're not living in Florida, Mar-a-Lago. We're not living in Washington. We're living with Avraham Avinu, with the Parsha of the week. And the Parsha of the week is what gives us life.
Let's win the war on Avram's favor.
Amen. Yes. Okay, today is a war. Today is a war in the Parsha. Okay. Which is very, for me, it's quite intriguing. Like, that this is all here so much, takes up so much space. Vahibi me Amraphel, and it was in the days of Amraphel, the king Melech, Shinar, who was the king of Shinar, Aryoich, Melech Elosar, and Aryoich, the king of Elosar, Kedalaimer, who's the Melech of Elam, the Sidal Melech Goyim, and Sidal, who's the king of Goyim, right? Four kings, right? It's going to be a battle between 4 kings and 5 kings. Okay. And guess who wins? Wow. This is the story of the underdog. Huh? The 4 win over the 5, the underdog. Rashi. Amraphel, who Nimrod, that is Nimrod, Sha'amar Lavram. He said to Avram, pull the Teich Kivshan Eish, fall into the fiery furnace. Amar pool. Oh, Amar hole. Right. So he said fall. Interesting.
Someone falling.
Nimrod. This is reference to Nimrod.
Fiery furnace. Oh. He wanted to say Nimrod is not really God. So Nimrod said, really?
Melech Goyim, the king of Goyim. Mokum Yeshishmoy Goyim. There is a place called Goyim, which literally means nations, right? Al Shem Shiniskabtu Shama, because people gathered there. Mikama Umais and Mikamas from many nations in different places. And they made a king over themselves, Tidal, and his name was Tidal. That's why it's Goyim is plural. Goy means singular nation. Goyim means nations, right? And they made a battle with Bera, the Melech Stoim, the king of Stoim, as Birsha and Birsha Melech Amira, the king of Amira. This is Sodom and Gomorrah. Those are the 2 kings of Sodom and Gomorrah. Shinav and Shinav Melech Adma, the king of Adma. The Shem Aver and Shem Ever, the Melech Tzvoim. Melech Bera, he Tzoyar, and the king of Umela Bela, the king Bela, he Tzoyar, which is Tzoyar. Rashi, Bera, Ra L'Shamayim, Vera L'Brius. So what Rashi's taking is their names and showing how indication of who they are. So Bera means 2 evils. Base is 2, Ra is evil. Ra L'Shamayim, so he's evil to heaven. Vera L'Brius, and evil to people. Birsha, Shenis Al Beresha, that he was moved himself upward in wickedness, and he became more and more wickedness. That's the base Russia, 2 evils. In other words, moving from one level to the next level. Shinav, Soine Avi Shabashamayim. So the Sina is made up of two words: Sina, which means hatred, of a father, meaning he hates father in heaven. Shame ever, some aver rather. He put on an artificial limb on himself, la'oif, and able to fly, the leak fights and to leap, the limrei b'al Baruch Hu, in order to rebel against God. In other words, he's flying up to God to rebel against him. Some aver, okay, that he placed a limb. Bella, Shem Meir, that's the name of a city. Interesting.
Nobody's good on either side, right? Because Nimrod is on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, seemingly. Yeah, if you look throughout history, both sides, for the most part throughout history, both sides were not good. Yeah, Gimel, number 3, verse 3, Kolei lechavru, all of them chavru, they like chaver, they joined forces. El Emek Hasidim, to the valley. Emek is the valley of Sidim. He Yamamelech, which is the Dead Sea. Later became the Dead Sea. Okay, Rashi in 3. Emek Sidim, the valley of Sidim, Kach Shmoy, that's its name. Al Shem Shahayuboy. So there's hardly, there were many fields there. And that's why it's called the valley. Because Sidim is like word Sada. So it's a valley of fields, in other words. So meaning that there's many fields there. Oh, Yamamelach, this is the Achazman. After time, Nimshach Hayam l'Seichei, the sea extended into the valley, Venasi Yamamelach, and became the salt, the sea of salt. Yeah, Midrash Agada, and that's a simple meaning, but the Agadic explanation is Baku Hatsurim Sivvaisav. The boulders around the valleys burst open, and Nimshach Hoyarim l'Seichei, and streams were drawn into it. Okay. 4. Shtemes Shana, for 12 years, Ovdu is Kedloimer. The 5 kings, for 12 years, they served Kedloimer. Shleisha Esrei Shana Mardu. And for 13 years, they rebelled. Rashi, Shtemes Shana Ovdu, for 12 years, they served. Chamisha Malachim Halo. These 5 kings served as Kedloimer. Huh? What? Sorry?
I think they're missing a vowel.
Kedar. Yeah, you're right. Kedar la'omer. Kedar la'omer. Yeah. 5. So for 12 years they served him. Here it says with his allies, but Rashi didn't say with his allies. Just in the translation here on the screen from Chabad.org. Maybe it's different in the Chayenu. Yeah, but it seems to be okay. In any case, and then 13 years they rebelled. Okay, now in the 14th year, right, of the rebellion, Shana, Kedar Laimer, came Kedar Laimer, and the other 3 kings, Malachim, Asherita, and the kings that were with them, Biyakus, Rephoim, and they came and they smit the Rephoim. Huh?
They smote.
The smit or smote. Okay. Okay, smote. The Rephaim Ashtaris Karnaim in a place called Ashtaris Karnaim. There's a Zuzim Bahem, and also the Zuzim of them. All right, they defeated them. Bahem here it says in Ham. Wow, Baham. Okay, I read it behem. It's wrong. Baham. In ham, there's a amim, and the amim is shavakir yosam. In shavakir yosam. Okay, let's see what's going on over here. In the 14th year, the mirdam of their rebellion, ba kidar la'omer, he came lefishu huaya bala ma'isa, because he was the one who was directly affected by this. Benichnas ba'avi akeda, and he was played the most prominent role. That's why he's mentioned, even though we're saying Hamalachim Asheritai, as well as the kings that were with him, Elish Malachim, these three kings. Vazuzim Hem HaZamzumim. They are the Zamzumim. Later on, we're going to have in
They're giants.
we're going to have the Zamzumim. We're going to have a reference to them by Moshe Rabbeinu in Devarim. It will make reference to this. Huh?
They're called Zamzum.
Yeah.
They're called Zuzim.
Right.
They're called Zamzum.
Yeah, exactly. This Acheri Hararam, and they also defeated the Chayri in Hararam, in their mountains, Seir, in Seir, Ad El Paran, until El, the plain of Paran, Asher Alamidbar, which is borders on the desert. Rashi, Bahararam, Bahar Shalahem, their mountains. Defeated them there. In other words, on their territory, I guess. El Paran, the plain of Paran. El should be understood, Targuma, according to Onkeles, as a Meshar, is a plain, right? Flat land. Well, Emirani, but I say, so he doesn't agree with Onkeles, and he says, She'ein El Lashen Mishar. The word El does not mean a plain, a Mishar. Ella, Mishar Shel Paran, El Shmoi. But rather, the plain of Paran, it is a plain, it is a flat land, but the name of the plain of Paran is El. Right? Shel Mamre, Aleinim Shmoi. And the name of Mamre is Aleine. Shel Yarden Kikar Shmoi. And the name of the Jordan is Kikar. Shel Shita, Shel Shitim, Avel Shmoi, and the name of Shitim is Avel. Avel Shitim. So he's saying that it's a name, even though it is a flat land, but it doesn't mean flat land. It's the name of the place. V'chein Baal Gad, Baal Shmoi. The name of the showing other instances where the word can mean like a valley, but it really means the name.
It's not a qualifier. It's a proper noun.
Right, exactly. And all of them, Onkeles says that they're a plain, but he says no, it means a name. It happens to be that it's also, a plain or a valley or whatever, in whatever instance. Next Rashi, Al Hamidbar. Father, this means Eitzel Midbar, next to the desert. Kamayva Olav Mata Menashe. The next name is the tribe of Menashe. Right? Meaning it's this is next to it. Yeah. Verse 7. Okay. So Vayashuvu, they returned. All right, they turned back. Vayavoyol Ein Mishpat, and they came to a place called Ein Mishpat. He Kadesh, it is also Kadesh, another name. Yaakov, and there they smote as a stay Hamaleki, the field of the Amaleks. Right. The Gamis Amori, also the Amorites, Chatzotzin Tamar, that lived in Chatzotzin Tamar. So they're wiping up everything over here, right? Next Rashi, in Mishpat, yeah, and his cohorts, the three others. Right, they're wiping up everything over here. Ein Mishpat, he Kadesh, Ein Mishpat, which is Kadesh, Al Shema Osid. It's called Ein Mishpat, which means literally a spring of judgment. It's a reference to the future, Shalutzu, an event that didn't occur yet. Shasidim Moshe v'Aaron, and in the future, Moshe and Aaron are destined the Shafet Sham to be judged there. Al Iski Oise Ayin, because of the spring, right, of the hitting the rock. Veheim Meimeriva, and there it's called the waters of strife. Unkelis Tergamu, and Unkelis explains the Kipshuta according to the simple meaning, Mokum, a place, that the people of the country would gather the whole mishpat for any judgment. So Rashi is saying that it's ein mishpat, it's the spring of judgment, right? I guess spring meaning like springing forward, something of the future. Yeah, that will be in the future will be a judgment there against Moshe and Aaron. And Unkelis learns it simply a name of a place. Why doesn't Rashi learn it according to Unkelis? Good question. Stay Hamaleki, the fields of the Amaleks. Adayin lo neled Amalek. Amalek had not been born yet. Only later on we're going to see when he's born. V'nikra al shem asi, but yet this field is called the Amaleki because a reference to the future. Wow. Maybe that's why Rashi learns in the previous one that it's also the future, right? Because this one is for sure the future. Tamar, who Ein Gedi? Oh, Ein Gedi. I've been there. The springs of Ein Gedi. Mokum Mole. It's stated explicitly in the Torah, Kedivrei Hayamim, in Chronicles, it's Divrei Shaphat. Okay. Getting some geography over here. Okay, V'yetze Melech Sdoim. So they came out, the king of Sdoim and the king of Hamayra, Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Umelech Adma and the king of Adma, Umelech Tzevoim and the king of Tzevoim, Umelech Bela, Hitzayar, V'yarchu Itam Milchama Be'emek Hasidim. So now going back to originally, remember in the 14th, was it in the 14th year that they were fought them? Yeah, the 14th year we said earlier, right? So now it's going back to this battle, right? That they came forth and engaged in a battle in the valley of Sidim. Melech Ele, Betzidal Melech Goyim, V'Amrafel Melech Shinar, Be'Arioch Melech Elosar, Arba Malachim, Esach Hamisha. So 5 kings fighting again, 4 kings rather, fighting against 5. Rashi. So the obvious question, why does the verse say 4 kings against 5? We can count. Arba Malachim V'Geimer, Af Pikain, even though not Muatim, the fewer were victorious, Leidiacha. This is to tell you, Shigibarim Hayu, that they were very mighty, Afal Pikain, nonetheless, but Nimna Avram did not refrain to pursue them. Right? This is all a setup now. All of this is to tell us, because Avram Lot is going to be taken captive by the 4 kings that are mightier than the 5 kings. Tell us how strong they are. That's why the verse is telling us 4 against 5. And Avram is going to go in and fight them off in order to retrieve his nephew. And that's the whole setup. Be'emek hasidim be'eres be'eres, and the valley of Sidim was full of be'eres, pits, chemar, that are made from clay. V'yanusu melech Sdoim, and they fled. Yanusu means they fled. Melech Sdoim, the king of Sdoim v'Amayra, those 2 kings, V'yiplu Shama, and they fell there. And Nisharim, let's see the letter right. Hera Nasu. Oh, and the Nisharim means the leftover survivors. They fled to the mountains. Okay, let's see Rashi on this. Because 2 out of the 5 kings now are only made reference to who lost, right? Be'eres Chemar. pits that are made from clay. There are many wells there. Which they took earth, binyan, for clay for the construction. That's a simple meaning. But according to the Agadic interpretation, the clay was needed in the wells, and it was of a doughy consistency. It was sticky. And a miracle took place. For the king of Stoim, that he emerged from there. Because God performed a miracle on behalf, because they were among the nations. Some who did not believe. That Avram was rescued from the fiery furnace in Ur Kasdim, right, when Nimrod threw him into the fire. So God performed a miracle on behalf of, because among the nations, some who did not believe that, right? But since this king of Sodom, came out of this pit, retrospectively they believed in the miracle that took place for Avram. Wow.
The miracle of being thrown into the pit by Nimrod was preceded all of this.
Yes, exactly. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Next, Rashi. Hera Nasu, they fled, those survivors fled to the mountains. Lahar Nasu, to the mountain they fled. Hara Kamoy Lahar. Hera is an unusual term, but it means to the, like saying Lehar, to the mountain. Kol Teva Shetrich Alamed B'tchila, any word that needs a prefix of Alamed at the beginning of the word, Yitolah Hey B'Seifa, when you put a Hey at the end, that's the same meaning, means two. Yesh Chilik Bein Hera LeHahara, and there's a difference, yeah, right? Because the word, it means to the mountain. So here we're saying usually the word would be to the mountain, but there's a difference between to the mountain and mountain. Shahei shebeseifa teva, for the hey at the end of the word, is the replace the lamed at the beginning. But does not stand b'mokum lamed in the place of the lamed, which is vowelized with a patach beneath it. The hare hara kamay lehar. So then the word hera is the same as to the mountain, to a mountain, not to the mountain. Right? If it's a hara, it would be to the mountain, specific mountain, but hera is to a mountain. It's to a mountain, right? Elhar. But doesn't specify which mountain.
It's not specific. Lehar is not specific. Lahar is specific.
Yeah. I should call Echad Nas, meaning that everyone fled Ba'asher Matzah Har Tchila, whichever mountain they found first. And when the Torah puts a hey at the beginning of the word, right, a word that already has a hey as a suffix, Lichted Hahara or Hamidbara, right? El Hahar, it means to the mountain. In other words, a specific mountain. Well, mashma, I say har, how you doing to that mountain that is known, or mefurish b'parsha, as is explicit in the passage. But here it doesn't mean that. Right? They just kind of found whichever mountain they could get to first to survive. Verse number 11. Vayichu is called Rechush Stein V'Ameira. And so these four kings now, they seized all of the rechush, the belongings of Sodom and Gomorrah. It's called Achlam Yelchu, and all of their provisions. And they went off, right? They took the booty. But further they also took as light. his rechush and all of his belongings. Then Achi Avram, the nephew of Avram, V'yelchu, and went off with him. V'hu yeshiv b'Stoim, and he was now living in Stoim. Light. 12, Rashi. Hu yeshiv b'Stoim, he was residing in Stoim. Mi garam loizos, b'shivas b'Stoim. What caused him this? The fact that he resided in Stoim.
Place of evil.
In other words, one second. Sorry. So they took his possessions, and took him, right? So why does it have to say that he's dwelling in Stoim? We already know that. So that's why Rashi's saying it's not superfluous, because the fact that he lived in Stoim, we already know that. So he's saying, why was he in the end taken captive and all of his things taken, all of his possessions? Because he caused it by the fact that he dwelt in stone with such evil people. So yeah, he chose to live there, exactly. 13. Yahweh Apolit, and came the Polit, the survivor. Yagid Lavram. Obviously, that's something we need to understand. Who's that survivor, right? Yagid Lavram, and he said to Avram, Ivri, the Hebrew. This is the first time he's called the Hebrew. Oh, Sheikhin be'Elonim Mamre, and he's dwelling in Elonim Mamre, Amari Achi Eshkol, in the plains of Mamre of the Amorites. Achi Eshkol, the brother of Eshkol, Achi Anar, and the brother of Anar, the Haim Bali Bris Avram, and they were they had a covenant with Avram. In other words, they were allies. These are allies.
What does Achi mean? What brother mean? What is that?
Ally, it means they were allies.
Oh, that's Achi is the implication of the allies.
Yeah, that's the term. Yeah.
That's the brother.
Maybe I'm not, maybe not correct. I'm not sure. 1 second. Okay, let's see Rashi. So the lone survivor came. According to the simple meaning, who Oig? This is Oig. Shepalit mina milchama, that he escaped from the war. Who shikatsu, and this is what's referred to when it's written in later on in Dvarim. Kirak Oig nisha miyeser Rephaim, that only Oig was left from the remaining of the Rephaim. Nishar, and this is what is meant that was left. Shaloi hargu Amraphel v'chavera, that Amraphel and his companions did not kill him. Shehiko Rephaim b'Ashtaros Karnaim, when they struck the Rephaim in Ashtaros Karnaim. Tanchuma, this is in the Tanchuma. Medrash Beishis Rabbah, but in the Medrash Beishis Rabbah it says Ze Oig, it's also Oig, Shepolet Midor Hamabel, that he escaped the destruction of the generation of the flood. But there you miss a Rephaim, and according to the Medrash, this is the meaning of that he was a remaining of the Rephaim. He remained from the giants who lived before the flood. Shenemar Hanifolim Hayu Baaretz, that the Nephilim were then in the Nephilim Hayu Baaretz. Miskaven, and Oig intended Shiareg Avram, that Avram would be killed attempting to rescue Lloyd, V'yisa Sarah, and he would marry Sarah. Whoa.
Well, he's not in the 4 kings or the 5 kings. But he's the one that the Dalaomer attacked.
Right, in Rephaim. Right, remember, because we said we went off on a tangent, right?
Yeah, Ashtaros Karnaim.
Right. So he was left from there. So now he's coming, but he doesn't have a good intent, according to the Reshis Rabbah. Okay. Next Rashi, Ha'ivri, Sheba Me'evar Nar, because he came across the river. Right, because remember, he went across what river? The Euphrates, right? Because he was beyond the Euphrates. God said to him, Lech, Lecha. Now he's coming. So that's the reference. Interesting that's why is he referred to that here? Punkt now.
It's a Ivri.
No, why is the Torah referred to him punkt now that way? I think it's because he was one alone. My take on it. Ivri means he was one alone across the river, right? Everybody was against him. And now he's one alone is going to come and fight to save light.
Maybe he's a usurper because he didn't belong here. He came from somewhere else, and yet doesn't give on grace.
Yeah, but that's not what the word Ivri means. Comes across.
Ivri means from elsewhere, from the other side.
Yeah.
So I'm saying he didn't belong here. I'm saying, oh, you're a newcomer? What are you doing here? Oh.
Okay. 14. Yishma Avram, and Avram heard Kinishba Achiv, that his brother was incarcerated, was taken captive, hostage. V'yarek is Chanichav. V'yarek is Chanichav. He armed is Chanichav, his attendants, Yalidei Beisei, those who had been born in his household. Shmeina Asa B'shloish Meyos they had done 318 attendants, and they pursued the captures of Lloyd as far as Dan. Let's see Rashi. Yara should be understood according to Targum Onkeles, Zares, that he armed. And similarly, we have a similar idea is dayin v'charbi aleichem. Also, to arm yourselves with a sword. Chen arik charbi, and I will arm myself with a sword. V'chein harik chen is skor. Harik chanichav, his chanichav, his attendants. She'achina choisam lemitzvos. He taught them the commandments. Right? He educated them. Hu lashon aschalas knisas adam. This is like the beginning of the entry of a person, a clear of an implement, lo monis, for a craft or a task. Shaya asid lamed ba, that which he would be destined to stay. Some of the idea to initiate for a child. Chanukas HaMizbeach, the inauguration of the altar. Chanukas HaBayis, inauguration of a house. And in Old French, it's Troner. So it's the idea of that he was initiated them, bringing them into, observance of mitzvahs. Shmoina Esrei. Oops. Where am I here? Yeshua Nesri Gamer. So 318. Rabbi Seino Amru, our sages say Eliezer Levada. This was only Elazar, his servant, alone. Who Minyan Gematria Shmai, which 318 is the numeric value of Eliezer. Adan, they were pursued until dawn. Sham Tashish Keiche, there his strength became weak. Shirah Shasidim Vana, because there he saw a future a prophetic vision. Egel, that they would establish there the golden calf. So he became. That's why it says until dawn. 15. The Chalik Aleim Laila, and the night became divided upon them. Bavadav. In order to pursue the four kings, right, that they flee in different directions. So the servants, v'yachalik aleihem, they divided themselves, right? Lila, at night, Huva Abadav, he and his servants, Yakim, and they smote them. Vir defei ma'ad chayva, and they chased them until chayva, asher mismal ledemesek. Right, and so they pursued them as far as chayva, till they would later incur guilt, which is the north of Damascus. Wow, pretty far. What? Well, we're getting some important lesson here on how to fight a battle. Very important. The Yechalik Alehem, and they divided against them. Lefi Pshuta, simple meaning means Sar Sira Mikra. You have to invert the words of the verse. The Yechalik Hu, Be'avadav, meaning they divided him and his servants, Aleim Laila, up against the night. Like in the manner of those who pursue. They split up in order to pursue their opponent. When they flee, zelakan, so that way when you split up your troops, right, so then people will flee in different directions. Laila kalaimar, that is to say, after it became dark, nimna, they not refrain to pursue them. Right, it's nighttime. It's not like they had, they didn't have any light to make the battle, to pursue them, but it didn't hold them back. God explains it. That the night was divided. In the first half, a miracle to Avram happened. In the second half, it kept guarded. And came forth for him for the midnight of Egypt. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. No idea. Ad chayva, until chayva, ein malkum shmei chayva. There's no place called chayva. V'dan kere chayva. Torah calls dan chayva, meaning literally means guilt. Al shem avodah zarah, because of the idol worship shasidim liyasham that's going to be destined to be there. 16. The Yashiv is called a rechush, v'gam is g'loy achi v'rechushay, heishiv v'gam is anashim v'sab. So he retrieved all of his belongings, also brought back the his kinsmen of light, together with his belongings, as well as the women and the other people.
All the hostages.
Yeah.
Save all the hostages.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Okay. Unfortunately, I have to stop here. I'd like to finish this, but it's late right now.